This episode of the Barnsey podcast was recorded in December 2014 and is now being released in March 2015. Apologies for the delay. But finally, here is episode 10 from December 2014 with Mitch Hertz. Start it up, Brewer.
Welcome back, everybody. Barnsey podcast number 10.
Shit, I forgot to change shirts.
Keep rolling, fuck it. No, it's all right.
Wait, I'll go and change it now. Keep rolling.
Episode 10 of the Barnsey podcast. We have made it to double digits. Can you believe it, bro?
Full on, man. Carnage. Never
No.
thought we'd get to 10. So, yeah, probably about 2 months worth of solid uploads 24/7 in that 10.
Yeah, it's crazy. With the amount of time it takes us to upload the video component of this podcast is truly epic, but worth it. Thank you for everyone that's subscribing to YouTube, and thank you to everyone that's on iTunes and all of the different media that you're consuming the podcast. Been really good. It's inspiring us to do more episodes and more regularly. So here we are with episode 10.
10.
Welcome back to Mitch. Returning champion. You probably
Back
got the
for
most
more.
notches in your belt now. Maybe Crazy. You maybe equal title holder with Crazy, but it's good to have a return guest.
Well, look, guys, happy 10th birthday.
Oh yeah,
It's
Thanks, man.
you truly are a couple of 10-year-olds.
maybe the number of podcasters is catching up to the maturity of the content now.
That's
so,
right. Yeah, there we go.
yeah, we're in the terrible teens now. So, speaking of terrible teens, I've got something to talk about that's kind of teenager-ish. Last podcast or two podcasts ago, we were looking at this new Star Wars trailers.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen another trailer recently. Actually haven't seen it in full. I saw it on the news in passing, but the new Terminator film. Have you seen this?
no, I haven't.
Oh, are you serious?
So have you not seen the trailer? Have you seen the
I
trailer?
haven't watched it yet, no.
Hey, do you know any story about
No,
it?
what's the premise of
So-
the new Terminator? Come on, man.
This is the Arnie is back in full flight. He's a main character in not just like, what we
Rubber
had in the
butt
Salvation movie where he was like the rubber, droid at the end of it. This is like Arnie's return because he's, out of politics now and properly back into the movie industry.
No.
And so, this is the Terminator movie that I guess we all expected would happen once he came back out of politics and returned to movies. It's called Terminator
Genesis.
Genesis, with spelt weird.
Genisys.
Yeah.
What?
Just to put a spin on things.
Yo.
Or is it Genysis?
I
Either way, it's
know
fine.
it's spelled weird.
That's fucking gay.
I've spoken to a couple of mates, so I had a bit of a pub conversation about it with some friends, and they kind of filled me in on because what I was curious about straight away. Now, are you a fan of the Terminator series?
The first two, for sure. Yeah. The third one I did still like. I mean, it was great to see the
Third
nuclear
one
war
is
scene,
good,
like the
man.
apocalypse scene. It was great.
The third one, like the storyline of the third one,
I didn't think it was as
quite
good though as the
Not
other
as
two,
good,
but it was still pretty good.
I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't go as far as some people are like it's the Phantom Menace of
No,
of
I don't
Terminators.
think that. No.
Oh, no, fuck that shit. I think it's like a good addition. I agree. It's not as good, but it's fucking. It's not bad. It's not
That
bad.
Salvation one though, like
No,
I
that is
couldn't
the
finish
Phantom
it.
Menace
I
of the
didn't.
Terminator series.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I couldn't
don't
finish
like
it.
that
It just
one,
it was
man.
going.
It's
I
good.
just
Not good.
It was it just didn't make any sense, and I don't know. I couldn't concentrate on it. I just had no. You know what I mean? Just didn't hold me. And
Yeah.
I agree.
So I'm such a big fan of the Terminator movies that, a little bit of background. I remember when the first Terminator film came out, which is like 88, 89.
Remember when the first one came? I don't.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I remember my parents were, I think, divorced at this point, and I was going and staying with Dad. It was one of the weekends with Dad. And in just conversation, Dad knew how much of an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan I was. Like, I think I was, what was before Terminator? I think that he'd done Commando.
It was in terms of Arnie, what would it mean? Predator?
No. Commando was after Terminator.
Was it? Yeah.
And so was
about-
Predator.
what about
He'd
Predator?
done Conan, huh?
Right.
Might have been Conan that I
He'd
was a
done
fan
Conan.
of. Yeah.
I think he might have even done a couple of Conan movies.
Yeah, so I think that's probably where I was a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and my dad knew I was a big fan. And my dad had seen Terminator, and I was like, oh, no, I haven't seen that. It's, it's rated too high. Mum won't let me see it. He's like, And I could just see this look in his face, torn between being a good parent and letting me watch that Terminator film. So he's like, okay, I'll make a deal with your son. Tell you what I'm going to do. And it was like a few years after it had come out. It was available to hire on VHS.
Yeah.
So he's like, I tell you what I'm going to do, son. I'm going to hire it. And you cannot let anyone else know that I've let you watch it.
Yeah.
Like in terms of his wife and my mum and
So so what you're saying is you're breaking your promise to your father.
I think it's allowed now. Like what 20 odd years later.
Limitations.
Yeah, statute of limitations. Yeah. And he was
no
like,
letter in the mail.
he went out to the video store. He hired it. He made me set my alarm clock for like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he'd set up the like hi-fi system. Like he'd like back in the day, he'd already figured out how to run his like VHS system through his awesome like Wharfdale speakers and stuff. But he'd plugged in his Technics headphones for me, and I just remember coming out, waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, and the video was ready, paused, and then
Why did he wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning?
because it was before anyone else in the house woke up. He's like, you can't stay up and late and watch it. You need to wake up early and watch it before anybody else wakes up. So I was like, get up early in the morning, and I wake up and there's the like headphones waiting on the couch and the video ready to go. And I remember, and just that added element of watching that movie, imagine how much of an impression that film has on me. And even the dodgy stop-go animation that they use in it, it's a scary movie. And I was young when I was watching
it.
it.
In the middle of the night as well.
And
so clandestine is
in headphones and shit.
It's like reading the forbidden book.
Totally.
By candlelight.
It was. It totally was. And I was like, had this sense of like, watching something that was like contraband, it added to the, like how good it was. So, and Terminator 2, I love Terminator 2, but I always thought that there was a bit of a like too much of the story, like
Terminator
family.
2 is the best.
It's
the
a good
only
movie, like,
that
but
I've counted how many times I've seen it, and I'm up to 64.
I know what you mean, but I know what you're saying, but the action and stuff in that movie, it does override it. It's amazing.
The effects still pretty much stand up.
Yeah,
there's a funny
how impactful was the apocalypse scene, the nuclear
where she's holding onto the
firewall,
the fence.
Yeah,
and it
like how
comes
much
across the
did that
playground.
like just stick in your mind? Like,
Yeah,
didn't you think
It's
about
the
that for
best
years?
movie,
Oh, fucking hell.
like just some of the lines in it and stuff like that. It's timeless.
Yeah.
Like
There's a mate of
You
mine,
know-
Anthony Twyford. Hi, mate. I've just made friends with him again on Facebook.
Yeah.
Me and him used to like hang out at his mum's place and do things we weren't meant to be doing. And then we'd put on the soundtrack to that and listen to that song that has the apocalypse. And it was just so there was no sound effects. It was just the music, but you heard the music just going like that. And we used to sit there like lying on the floor just going,
No way.
epic.
That's
Remember the
awesome.
music in that is like,
Epic.
man.
it's like
Oh yeah, fucking epic soundtrack.
yeah.
So yeah, Terminator 2, amazing film. I did think it
My
had
favourite.
a bit of I order you not to go.
Yeah,
I order you not to go. That was that Edward Furlong, which is before his voice broke, was a bit hard to stomach, and it is a bit hard to stomach.
Did you?
Rewatchings, if there's anything that gets long in the tooth, and when you rewatch Terminator 2, it's that fucking.
I remember watching it as a
Squealing
kid,
kid.
and those dudes come over in the parking lot, and he's
Easy money. Easy money.
He's like, grab this guy, and he just fucking grabs him by the hair. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa, whoa. That'd be so fucking cool. Man.
But Terminator 3, okay, which is one you say you kind of dropped down on.
I went a little bit
it's
down on
good.
that one.
I think it's a
good.
solid movie. I do think it's good. I thought
Yeah, that may not reflect its quality. I just personally didn't.
that scene where the chick Terminator is driving that crane and fucking the Arnie Terminator,
yeah.
he drops the
Into the sewer.
into the sewer and it just jacks the whole. That's hectic. That
Full
scene.
on, man.
The scene where they're fighting in that bathroom
Yeah.
and they're just like head planting each other through toilets and shit. It's like fucking hell.
Yeah.
And I did like the way that they kind of stayed true to the whole story of Terminator, with it being an older John Connor.
Yep.
And this actually, like what happened in T2 only diverted what was inevitable. It didn't stop Judgment Day.
What I questioned about that, and I thought it was really cool, but you know how they go and it becomes self-aware, and they press the button you know, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That to where you see outside and it's almost completely fucked is like, you know, a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But I know the movie would have gotten a lot longer if
Yeah.
they had to flesh that out. But I'm like, that should have been fleshed out more.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of seemed like a bit, you know, like, oh, okay, we accept that that's happening now. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, I was a bit disappointed. But
So it just
I
feels
can
like it just-
understand why.
So that's a good point. I like how basically the end of that third movie is telling us how we got to the point of John Connor leading the resistance.
Yeah.
You know, he picks
Yeah.
up the radio and he's like, you know, starts calling the other outposts that have
Peak
survived.
Mountain or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I liked how that tied in. Then you got Salvation, which is the Christian Bale, and what's the Aussie dude that's in it?
Sam Worthington?
Worthington, yeah. Which I thought the effects in it were cool. I did kind of liked the concept of they've built a Terminator that thinks that it's a human and it's battling with this like realization that it's actually a machine. But it did get a bit weird, that whole Helena Bonham Carter being the face on the like mainframe.
It was like really like cartoonish and
it got a bit strange. And the rubber
Bit like
Arnie
Brazil
scene
or
was
something.
like, here's just a little throw of Arnie just to like mean it's still Terminator. And
It
so
didn't feel like a Terminator movie to me. No, that's what I took away from it.
what I was hoping that fourth Terminator film was going to be the story of them sending back to tie in. Okay, we've seen how the resistance gets established. Now we're seeing an older John Connor who's actually leading the resistance and stuff, and then him coming to the decision because he ends up being the one that sends back Kyle Reese.
Yeah, that's it.
And the first Terminator.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got all of that clear. So now what's happening with this Genesis film, and this is where it gets a bit squirrely, is that they're sending back an Arnie Terminator to a time where Sarah Connor is a young girl.
What?
Right.
But he's not sent back to terminate, he's sent back as protection.
Right, yeah.
I think that's the basic concept.
Yeah.
So
I haven't
coming
seen
to kill him.
And then what happens?
I don't know. I haven't seen the actual preview. I've just saw on like a Today show some flashes of like what the movie's going to be.
Right.
And as I was saying, I was talking to some guys in a pub that know the storyline, and that's apparently how this is going to work. So this brings up like the usual hole in time travel movies, right? Why not just go earlier? You know, if you're going to try and kill Hitler, why are we trying to kill him when he's got an army around him? Why don't we go back and like 3 seconds after he was born?
Or even before he's born and kill his parents.
But then is it the whole inevitable timeline is going to eventuate anyway?
Yeah, isn't that the point of 3? Is that they did that and it's still
And it just
happened.
delayed things.
Yeah.
It just, you know.
It's not like it's going to stop it. It's still going to find a way through. It might just take a different path.
It's almost
to
like
get
a
there.
Final Destination kind of concept, you know, with Final Destination, where it's like they avert the disaster, but then death finds them one by one because they're destined.
I've never seen any one of those movies, but
you
is that
understand that's the concept?
idea? Right.
Man, those movies are so much fun.
Really?
They're fantastic. Yeah. They like don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
Like they're trash. But
Isn't there like 7 of them or some shit?
The
Like-
first one, especially, I really liked. It's just like this. They're going to get on a plane. I think that's the first one. They're going to get on a plane, and this one dude just is sitting there and starts feeling all like freaked out. And then he has this vision of like the plane exploding and blah 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 blah. And he's like, "Fucking, I've got to get off this plane! Like, guys, we've got to get off this plane." And it's like they're with a school trip or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think he ends up convincing like maybe 5 people to get off with him, and then the plane explodes exactly like how he saw it. And then one by one, you know, they were destined to die. So all this bizarre shit happens
Yeah,
where
right.
it's like they just happen to slip on that little bit that
Gonna
goes down
die.
and pulls that
Yeah.
thing into there, and you know, like
Full on.
Yeah.
So it's like being able to see the future, but even averting what you see in your future, it's still gonna,
that only happens once, and then the whole rest of the movie is like all of them trying to avert death, which is chasing them. So death is this like invisible set of coincidences that is going to happen to you. It's the
Yeah,
bizarrest
yeah.
thing because it's like this invisible antagonist that
Yeah, yeah.
you know is just there the whole time, and you're like, is that? And there's all these red herrings too. Like you see them like, they go like that and they arm brushes the towel and it falls on the floor and you're like, oh, what's going to happen with that towel? But then it goes somewhere else and so you never know like how it's going to work out and then that last second it all just falls into place and you're like, oh, and it's like really fucking violent and full on and it's great fun.
There is like 7 of them, so there's quite a few to choose from. Isn't there one that's like a roller coaster based one? And I think a roller coaster is in a major scene of one. I remember.
Oh, I think something happens where.
And then there's one that's got like really cool 3D. It was like one of the first like really awesome 3D.
Yeah.
And there's some scene where like
the guy in the paddock.
I'm not too sure. There's like a Golden Gate Bridge scene where the whole Golden Gate Bridge fucking does fucking some weird shit, and there's like cars and shit fucking flying up and down. It's meant to be one of the best 3D things at the time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah. I'll have to check
they're
out
fun. They're just good fun. It's just like a pretty simple concept that works really well. And like then there's no like amazing acting. It's not going to change your life, but it's just like good fun. Just trying to work out how it's going to happen and. Seeing a bit of carnage,
I saw a couple of good movies recently. Have you seen that Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like, the story was a bit, could have skipped over a few bits of that, but I thought the effects were
it was
cool
heaps better. I was like impressed, mate. I was genuinely impressed. I thought it was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I think that you have a shell of like impress me because so many people say that it's like amazing.
Yeah, it did get heaps hyped.
And when that happens, it's like, well, okay, this is going to be good.
You'd really like it. You especially. You'd really like it. I'm like, I bet you I fucking do.
What's that one? It's like that South Park episode where everyone keeps saying to Cartman, like, oh, dude, you've got to watch Family Guy. You'd love it.
Oh, really?
It's just like you. He's like, I am not like Peter Griffin. He's like freaking out. I am nothing like Peter Griffin. He's like fucking freaking out. Like,
just watched the most recent one, man, and he's fucking. It was a fucking cack, and it's about the Twitch craze. You know about Twitch? Like, it's like online broadcasting. Like people commenting on games and shit.
Oh yeah, okay. Is this the one where they call the FBI and say and like they get swarmed while they're playing and stuff and. Is that the one?
No, not this one. This one's about.
Brand new,
I know that episode.
I haven't seen the episode. I'm saying, is it about that scenario? There's another South Park episode where they do that.
The whole concept of this one is it was a 2-part episode. I think it was like the season finale,
and it was like a Christmas episode.
And it's it's weird. Like the first time I saw it, I spun out. So I was working a job like about a year ago, and I used to see this guy that used to take his lunch break. And I thought he was playing a computer game on his like office computer. I'm like, I didn't think the computers here were good enough to run a game like that. Yeah. Then after a while, I realized like I'd look at him doing this on his lunch break, and he wasn't even touching the keyboard or the mouse. He was just had his arms crossed, had his headphones on, and he's just watching the screen. And I'm like, what's going on? And so I said to him, man, what are you just like watching playback of a game? He's like, yeah, man, it's Twitch. And Twitch is this website where people can like log in and stream their game.
We have talked about this before, but we haven't talked so much about the online commenting thing.
And now it's getting to a point where people are not just watching people game, but then watching somebody comment on the game. So it's like a box within box situation, like a mini box of somebody, just like what we're doing here.
So it's a video podcast. So you see their face down in the corner going, I shouldn't have done that. Like,
and it's the idea that
let's plays. Okay, so let's play Battlefield, and you've got the dude who's playing it in a box down the thing with a mic and camera on him, like here. Commenting on, oh shit, that was carnage, or whatever. It's usually when they're playing, and that was a bit of a spin on that South.
So it's often done live, like
they'll be gaming,
broadcasting.
What do you reckon, guys? Do I go raid this village? Yeah. And then people like are in the chat box like, do it, and he's like, okay, let's do it.
Hashtag raid.
But it's not just live streaming.
So hold on. Is it the dude that's playing who's doing the commenting?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying they're streaming it live and then someone else was like commenting over it.
That's kind of what the
it.
South Park episode was like, and Cartman was doing it, but it was like over real life in South Park. So people would be standing waiting for the bus, and then all of a sudden Cartman would come up in this box in the corner and go, "It's Cartman, brah! Yeah, look at these fucking Jews standing around, fucking waiting for the fucking bus, and fucking douchebags. Fucking look at Kenny, he's so poor. He's so poor, fucking Kenny."
This is boring. Let's go to something else. But like, they had this Christmas special on, and they got Cartman Brewer on to try and to comment on what was going on to boost so they could get in with the young crowd. And they had like Bill Cosby as one of the guests.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man! And as soon as they said, "Here's Bill Cosby," I was just like, "Oh man,
no,
here we fucking go."
And there was this scene where there's the person that they were actually parodying, who is one of the famous YouTube celebrities, actually became on the screen and like started arguing with Cartman in these two boxes. Did you notice that? And during that scene where you were like meant to be paying attention, you'd be looking at these two boxes. The main picture was Bill Cosby drugging this chick. It was just like, no way. It was like, she's like, no, I don't want to be here. And he's like, come on.
That is intense. Yeah. Oh my god.
Fucking South.
I thought
they
that
are
was
so full on,
fresh.
Huh?
It was a bit fresh, to bring up. I'm like, fuck it.
That's
as soon as they
what was
said
the Onion? Did I tell you that?
Like,
Did you see the Onion article? And it says Bill Cosby agrees to sit down and talk about these whole allegations over a nice glass of wine.
Oh man. It's pretty harsh, a full stop on that guy's career, man. Yeah. But it looks like, I mean, far out. There's so many women coming out and saying that it went down.
It's pretty incriminating.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, he only came out with his latest special. Like, he did it as like his big comeback special about 6 months before all this went down. I downloaded it off the internet. I paid the $5 HBO, I think it was on, and it was actually pretty good. Like, you could tell it, like, he was, the whole thing was sitting down. Like, he wasn't like, wasn't stand up, per se. He was sitting down and doing it. But he was still pretty sharp, still pretty good humor. Did you remember? Did I watch that with you?
I don't think so. No.
But yeah, it's like,
I remember Dad really liked Bill Cosby. And
yeah, he was a big fan.
Fatherhood book and shit, and
yeah.
So like, that's what I think is probably the most people really liked him, and they go,
apparently he was a big figure in like the civil rights movement as well, and so he was like a really important figure in black culture, and so it's like,
well, I don't know the details.
People didn't want to take him down, but a lot of places didn't, like for a long time, didn't want to take him down.
Yeah.
Were really hesitant to attack him.
Yeah, and I guess that would become part of the conversation when these, women are going to the authorities or whatever. Back in the day, it's like, it's Bill Cosby. Do you really want to, take this on? It's not like the system that we've got today where, you can just get like a get up petition to get behind your, your cause or expose something. It's like, back in the, Bill Cosby was famous in like 3 decades, like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So that's 4 decades pretty much. So
what was that show? He was on a show called I Spy. Was it I Spy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Kids say the shittiest thing. That was the fucking worst show, man. It was like, and the women and the kids, and what do you say?
With the bipping and the bopping.
Oh man, I tried to play Fat Albert to my little girl.
Yeah.
And I put it on, and within 10 minutes, it's like, oh man, this is so like much worse than I remember. I remember it being like really fun, and it's like it's really pretty crap. Like, like I like the characters and stuff.
How old is your daughter now, man?
A year and a half.
And what is she into? What is like the main? Huh?
How about no?
How about no? You crazy.
What's the main thing that you put on that's going to hold her attention for the longest
on TV?
Yeah, like in terms of like Wiggles or Ben.
She likes the Wiggles. Well, the thing that's weird about the Wiggles is that the new lineup, the chick kind of has
slightly more. In the Wiggles.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they've got one original dude who's still doing it, and they've got like 2 new dudes and a chick.
Wow.
And she's in the yellow, and she has more than a passing resemblance to my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Same red hair, same smile, like. Yeah, just like quite, not exactly, but like there's quite a resemblance. So it's kind of weird because I always feel like whenever Emmy like watches The Wiggles, I'm like, is she watching it and like wondering if that's mum? Like, I love this show. This is the mum show. Like,
well, that's
probably not. Probably not though.
Well, Wiggles have been a mainstay in that area for a long time now. Like
For sure.
Geez. Is there anything else like?
Yeah. Oh, she loves Sesame Street. She loves Play School.
Sesame Street and Play School are still for kids. Still watch that.
Yeah, but the one thing that I don't like about Sesame Street, the show is still tip top. It's like really good show for kids and stuff. Like it's really educational and they use words really well and it's like a really good vibe. And
it is used for a political vehicle. Sometimes I've noticed though.
Oh really?
That? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Like what would be an
example? They had Obama on, didn't they?
Yeah, it's used as sometimes a celebrity vehicle, and sometimes I've seen like, not that I'm like anti like global warming, but like like I don't know, like I've seen a couple of clips that have been used of like looking they're pushing this agenda through Sesame Street. I'm sure it doesn't happen very often,
But what I was going to say about it is the one thing that I'm a bit like is they've changed the melody slightly of the theme song.
Really?
They've changed the chord. Oh, if not the melody, then definitely like the chord progression is like this weird jazzy kind of like hip hop jazzy kind of like chord progression that's slightly different. And I feel like when I listen to it, I'm waiting for it to go na na na, and it goes na na na. Oh, it does this weird like slightly other thing that's not what I'm expecting to hear. And every time I hear it, and I'm like, yeah. But
that's interesting, man. That stuff is still being watched.
Yeah.
Do they still have like the old how they make it videos, like how they had the crayon or the peanut butter?
I don't know about that. Something. They
it
still
wouldn't
do
work
stuff
well.
like that.
That'd be old SD clips that they're trying to fit into a HD.
No, there are old. There are old SD clips.
Really?
There are old 70s clips that they put on.
No way! Oh, that's pretty cool.
Old like film clips. I was just gonna say I heard it. I heard it like a couple of months ago. They played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I for the longest time thought that Frank Zappa wrote that.
Really?
He had fucking nothing to do with it. It was like this.
No way.
It was this dude. He was a composer, and he did it. And that's the one thing that he does that he did that everyone knows. And read a little interview with him. He's going, it's pretty cool. People still remember it.
Was the pinball ball.
Yeah.
Oh,
and do you know who the singers were? Do you remember there were the chicks going 7, 9, right? Pointer Sisters.
No way.
The Pointer Sisters.
Full on.
For real.
There you go.
How good is that?
Fucking Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Pointer Sisters. Fucking some of those, I really remember clearly some of those old clips, those make it clips from Sesame Street. One of my favorite ones was it's like a saxophone factory.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. It was a saxophone factory.
And it was awesome. Like you'd see these like
how they press it,
sheet metal pressed into shape and dipped into like the tarnish, solution, and like just these like racks of like saxophones going down the line. Yeah. Fully.
The crayon one was the one I used to like, and they used to show
making crayons.
Crayola crayons, and it'd be like how they mix all the different colours, and then it goes into shape, and I used to love that shit, and like I'd hang out to watch that, and I'd be like, yeah, it's on. Like, fuck.
Those
Sesame Street.
Those kid shows,
it's good, man. It's
like
cool.
Wiggles.
Well, they do all these experiments and stuff as well. Like they go, well, what if we want to make this balloon rise? Then how do we do that? And they're all trying to work it out.
All the characters there, like Grouch and Cookie Monster. And,
Cookie Monster's there. Grover's there. Big Bird's there.
Big Bird.
Oscar the Grouch. Snuffleupagus.
Well, there was like
Bert and Ernie.
A PC attack on trying to get rid of Oscar the
Bert
Grouch.
and Ernie or something? Wasn't there some controversy there too?
I think
people have always
they wanted them to come out officially as gay. I don't think that like Sesame Street has come out officially and said that, but they are, do
you reckon they were intended to be, or do you reckon they were just intended to be friends in the beginning?
I think that's probably overthinking like a puppet, skit that has now become like, a seminal thing.
It's a mainstay,
but it just so happened that Like
Yeah.
it was
I just
easier for
reckon
them
it
to
was-
get into the same bed. Like I don't know, maybe there was some, but that was the whole thing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's easier, like logistically though. It's just like, oh, can we just build one bed and just they'd sleep on it?
like it's one dude probably doing both puppets. He's like, I can't, like, you know, separate bedrooms. Like this is shit. And so they're just like, and like half of the scenes were them getting into bed together and talking about their day. And
You're
stuff,
not
you know?
convincing me that it
I
was,
don't know if
it was an accident, mate.
I don't know if there's attention. But one of the PC attacks was that having Oscar the Grouch taught kids to be disrespectful to the homeless.
Whoa, what? Say it again?
And that, you know, that homeless people that live in garbage cans should be like, and they're all
they're
like, and they're all grouchy, and
right,
they should be like, oh, chill out, Oscar, like, you know. But they didn't really like oust Oscar the Grouch in Sesame Street. They let him live there.
He's still there.
He was grouchy, but fucking they didn't like.
No, he was part of the street. What about the 1, 2?
Oh, the Count. No, haven't seen him anymore.
Oh, come on.
I know. That's I reckon that's
He
a
was
big
fucking
boss.
wicked. And then was it peanut?
Three
peanut-
big sheep.
Was it peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Was that dude, or was that a different dude?
Oh, I don't know.
Wasn't there some dude and he like wanted peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
Are you thinking of Fozzie from the Muppets?
No,
Did he want that? No.
I
Peanut
think
butter and jelly sandwiches?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I think you're right. I think it might have been the Count when he cast the spell, and it'll be a la peanut butter sandwiches. And
Oh,
right.
yeah. I think
Baby's
you're right.
one, yeah.
I think
See,
you're
I
right.
was part of his spell.
I was grown up on Sesame Street hard. Like that was my babysitter for
Me too.
every Saturday morning when the parents were sleeping in.
Abracadabra peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, fucking all of those kid shows, man, they fucking became institutions like the Wiggles. They were like consistently the highest Australian earners in the entertainment.
Yeah, like above ACDC.
Oh,
yeah,
good
like,
on
yeah.
them. And, you know, like high five and shit like that.
And they
as well,
managed to
all
tap
that
into
kind
an
of stuff.
international market. They weren't just
But
big in Australia.
That's
they were massive
really
in the
cool
States.
that, you know, stuff that we grew up on, you know, still resonates with young people today. It's like kind of vindication that it wasn't just...
Yeah, it's
you know,
nice, man.
era
Like, well,
type
when the
thing.
bell at the start of Play School goes off, it goes ding,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. And every time she hears that bell, it's like the school bell or something like that, and you know Play School's starting. She's always like, ah! And, you know, like twirls around a little bit.
they still
she
get,
she
like-
does this big thing at the moment where it's like anytime she hears any music or anytime she's excited about anything, she does this thing where she like throws her hips from side to side and goes like this, like like that, like, and like as soon as she hears, she's like and then like spins around 3 times and yeah, it's crazy. So but I always get like, because I like when I hear it, I'm like, oh, it's Play School. You know, like,
I get shitty when it's not the square window. Square window.
oh, see, I always want
fits
the arch
TV.
window. I always want the
it fits
arch window.
TV. The rest of them are shit. They're all shit, man. The only one
So
that
it's like
fits your
unsatisfying
TV.
the way that it.
Yeah, it's like
zooms
it's
in.
like, you know, fucking square peg into a triangle hole.
You make
doesn't
it-
fucking fit.
You make a compelling argument, I have to say. It never occurred to me before that the square one is the. But what about with the widescreen TV now?
Yeah, it's got to be a rectangle window.
Oh, I guess. Okay.
Fucking 16:9 window.
Which will it be? The round window? The arch window? Or the
power.
horizontal oblong window?
Which one satisfies your OCD the most? Fucking, I always
A
used to
little
look at.
bit on the left. A little bit on the left.
I used to look at Play School, especially now in modern years. Play School's still going, and you'd see not only ABC staff, but people that were on other
That's what I was
channels.
going to say. Is
Oh,
still
yeah.
a B-grade celebrity?
Oh, mate, the
That's
current
gotta
cast
be
is the
a
current
fucking-
cast. I posted.
Who wants to do that shit? That's got to be a punishment. Tell me that it's not like you
No,
fuck.
it's
Oh
someone
no,
over.
no, it's a pretty good job, man. I had to
it's
say,
like a
like,
rite passage,
no,
that
the people that are doing it, I reckon, like quite into it, and you know, and
I
they're
reckon
good, they're
that's
good
like,
at it and
yes,
stuff.
I
And
just get to act
it's a
like
good
a
thing,
kid.
well, because everywhere they go, like, you know, it's like it's not just the kids, but all the parents are like, hey, you know, like,
But
you
it's
know.
like, you know, we grew up on it and they probably fucking grew up on it too, and they realise how important play school is, and you know, like you really looked up to those people that fucking cut the toilet rolls and made shit. You know, you're like, oh, come round to my place, and you know,
but what is
you
this?
get a chance to be that dude. I reckon it'd be pretty cool.
I posted this clip the other day, which is a clip of two of the current hosts who regularly host together, because it's always a guy and a girl, and they sort of rotate, and so you get a combination, different combinations, blah blah blah. But one combination that very regularly hosts together, and they're very popular, is Frank Paps, Alex Paps, who was Frank from Home and Away. And you remember Bobby's boyfriend, right? Yeah. And Justine Clark, who was Rue.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so these two people that used to act together on Home and Away in like the late 80s, right? Around the time of like Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan, it was around that time. They were like the competitor program, right? And they were like and they weren't a couple except for this one short little like sort of like 1 or 2 episode arc where they had a little bit of a fling and a little bit of kiss, and then like didn't work out. And I didn't even know about it, but I pulled it up and I found it on YouTube, and it's this clip of these two people that are constantly hosting on Play School, making out on a beach, and like having this like cheesy late 80s romance on the beach and looking lovingly into each other's eyes while the sun sets, and like, you know, why can't we, you know, just do what we want to do, you know?
I kind of like, I mean, it's one thing to maybe, you know, be the person that's doing the like, you know, acting like a kid, but like then I picture like the dude that's like the audio boom guy that has to like record that. He's just like how did I draw this short straw? Like, you know,
I mean, it'd be a pretty cool gig, man. I reckon.
I guess
it's a pretty secure gig.
I guess so. Yeah,
like, it'd be well paid.
It's an institution, man.
It is.
Really,
it'd be well paid. They'd have like someone like good on that, like doing a job. Man, the piano player is like amazing. He's amazing.
Play School, yeah.
It's all just a piano player for the whole show, and just the host singing along and talking. It's all it is. Just one dude on a piano playing the whole soundtrack to Play School. That's what it's always been. Just one dude, and he's like, and he gets dramatic, and then he goes bum bum ba dum dum.
Then the roof started to leak,
and then they all start singing. Exactly, you know, like and then they sing a song together, and he's got all these like jazzy chords and stuff. Like, it's pretty. You know, the weird thing though about Sesame Street is heaps of the cast that were on it when I watched it are still on it.
Like the bald
They're
black
still
dude.
on it. Yeah, Gordon. Gordon, the black guy, the bald black guy. Gordon is still on it. There's like a few of them that I'm like, how do they only look like 10, 20 years older? Like they must be like 40 years old. I don't understand. Like
I can't help but think there's an element. Like it's as you say, it's a sweet gig, it's a regular gig, but there's got to be an element of like that Simpsons episode where Homer and Marge go to Krusty Land and they find this like restaurant where they ring in the new year like every hour and over again, and it's like 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year, like balloons and shit drop, and like Marge and Homer are dancing, and they go up to the waiter that's like got like the drink on the thing. It's like, it must be wonderful to ring in the new year over and over again. Please kill me. And poor dude still on Play School, like he's watching people grown up and get like MBAs and shit, and he's still like, fucking, look at little gingerbread man. He's like, what have I done with my life? No. Nah, I'm sure it's fucking sweet having a TV gig that many years. Would be pretty.
Well, no, the Play School staff there's no one that's been on Play School for years, but Sesame Street they have. But Sesame Street is way more like a puppet show, you know, like
it's American, and it's probably one of the greatest examples of Australians adopting American culture, you know, and like
for sure.
Like, do they still say Z, or do they say Z?
Z.
They say Z,
That's
you
what
know, and
say,
I remember battling because I used to learn that shit from Sesame Street and stuff.
And when like, you say Z, it doesn't rhyme. Yeah. So it feels really wrong to say Z.
But how often are you called upon
when
to say...
When we sing it to Emmy, we say Z.
I think it's Z.
I never realised.
It's not Z, it's Z. Well, to the letter of the law in Australia, it's Z.
Yeah,
I was going to say something that you made me think of in the last podcast. With Jerry, and you were talking about aluminium, but you were calling it aluminum.
Oh yeah.
And do you know? And I learned the story between the aluminum sort of debate or difference.
I thought that they were interchangeable, but are there different applications for the two?
Well, no, they mean the same thing, but the English and the Australian official pronunciation is aluminium,
right,
and aluminum is the American one,
right? Because you hear on American movies aluminum cans,
right. So Americans say aluminum, right, and generally Australians, we generally take our pronunciations from England, right, and we generally the Australian pronunciation would be aluminium. But the thing that's interesting about it is the story of how it happened. And so you just think, it's so common with American pronunciations that they take out a couple of letters and just go, can we just make this easier to say? And they simplify it, like almost dumb it down. Sometimes you can feel like they dumb it down, like, whatever. That's language, is how it works. But anyway, the thing that's interesting about aluminium is it was discovered by this guy, and at first he called it aluminum, but the scientific bodies said no, that's right, he called it aluminum, right? And he put it out, he said, we're calling it aluminum. And then he changed his mind and he went, I don't like aluminum because it breaks up the naming pattern that is formed by things like lithium, cadmium, sodium, potassium. It's not ium, it's just aluminum. Yeah. So he said, I reckon it should be aluminium. Right. And no, I think he said aluminum. And the British scientific bodies said we'll go with
I like
aluminium.
I like aluminum.
Aluminium I reckon's pretty good. But I think he settled on aluminium, and he went, I want to call it aluminium. And the British scientific bodies went, okay, we'll go with that. And they made that the official word, aluminium.
Right.
But the Americans went, well, we're going to stick with what he first said, so we're going to call it aluminum. So this is a strange case of the Americans actually have the original pronunciation, and the English are the ones that have changed it, going with the changed version.
Wow, there you
rather
go.
than the other way around.
Right.
So sorry, that was a long-winded story, but I thought that was quite interesting.
It's definitely the other way around. Normally, it's like, and I'm sure in Australia where we do it a lot as well, because we're the kings of slanging stuff out or shortening stuff. And I'm trying to think of an example, but just the fact that everybody gets abbreviated to pretty much their last name with E attached to the end of it, hence Barnsey. It's just the Aussie shortening way of slang.
Barnsey.
Hey, Barnsey.
You do the variation is O's.
Morning.
Like, so I used to get Lanos.
O's.
I never got Lanos, but but people do get
Davo.
Steve-O.
There was a period there where Wah seemed to be attached as well. Yeah.
Matt Wah.
Yeah. Barnswar or...
What the fuck?
Guy Greenstone used to call me Mitchawana.
Really? Oh man,
Mitchawana.
If you're ever in a fucking
and now he's on the side of Coles trucks.
That's a porn name.
Huh?
Here comes Mitchawana Mitch.
Mitchawana Mitch
with his foot-long cock.
Naturally, you'd say that.
So one thing we were talking about before we started the podcast that we were going to bring up was some classic bike stacks and some occasions back in the day that
bike stack today.
We were talking about how funny it is. I'm sure people that are listening won't have a similar memory of a scenario where you've fucked yourself up. You've either come off your bike, your skateboard, just hit the deck, but somebody's been watching. That you don't want to be that, overreacting fucking, ooh, you're trying to just everything's cool. Yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, I'm fine. So one particular story that I can talk about was, we had this street that had quite a, descent to it. And there was a building site down the road and we found plywood. And as you do, you build jumps. And I was on this 10-speed mountain bike. So I remember coming down the hill and trying to get as much speed as I could, that like, you know, when you're pedaling down and you're just like churning through gears on a multi-speed bike, it's like like picking up speed. And I was doing it at the same time on a used road, like, so there was cars going down all the time. I would try to find like clear spots, but I was going down the road and a car came up behind me, and I remember that they were like cruising alongside me at the same speed. There's like, you know, dude driving and, you know, lady in the passenger seat, and just like me locking eyes with the lady next to me, just like, you know, pedaling super fast. And a couple of dudes had already gone over the jump and they've, you know, gotten there, but they were on BMXs. I was on a mountain bike, which was a damn sight heavier than their BMXs. I just remember I hit the wood and the wood's just like instantly slipped off the bricks. So I'm just like now going full tilt into like a pile of bricks, hit the bricks, ass over tit. I remember I came down first on my shoulder. And so that was the first thing that made contact with the ground, followed closely with my face, and then just tumbling over. And I remember, you know, that feeling where like, you know, instant road rash, you know that's going to be bad, but it's not so bad that the pain isn't at full tilt yet. You've still got a bit of an adrenaline going.
Burns a bit.
So the cars slowed down and the ladies wound down the window. It's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm sweet. And I'm just like picking up my bike and I'm like, you know, yeah, I'll be fine. I'm fine. I'll just get my bike. I remember just waiting for the car to get out of distance and then just, falling in a heap. And I was fucked up. I didn't break anything, but I was like really damaged. My bike was fucked up. So yeah, it's like those, I find them funny. I remember a few different occasions where I've done big stacks, and not just like stacking like a vehicle of some kind, like a bicycle or a skateboard, but just falling ass over tit on like slippery floors and shit like that, and just being like, no, I'm cool. One particular case was I was doing live sound for. Do you ever go on the Rocks Rhythm boat? Which was like this, like
I think I might have played on one.
Yeah, it's got like a band stage up the front of this boat.
Oh, maybe.
And they've got like a balcony area up the top that's got like a
yeah. You look down onto the stage. Yeah. I've played there. Yeah.
So I was, a friend of mine's band was playing that, and they got me to do the sound. And it was like just a whole bunch of people that like was friends of the band. Like it's like, you know, I think it was like $30 tickets or whatever, and the band's given like 2 months just to sell as many tickets to justify.
What band was it? Can you remember?
It was Heifer.
It was Heifer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I was with doing live sound for the band, so I was helping them lug their gear in and lugging the PA onto the boat. And I remember I was with a mate of mine, and we were lugging in the bass amp, and it was a big, like, 4x12 cabinet. And I was like, oh, do you need a hand with that? And they're like, no, 2 guys were already like on a handle each. And like, I just remember stupidly thinking, I'll sit on top of the bass amp while they carry it. So they're like, yeah, sweet. So I sat on top. They've gone 1, 2, 3, lifted up the thing, and my center of gravity was just so like shifted towards the back. Instantly, their wrists just went like that, just twisted, and I've just slid it straight off the back. The first thing that hit, this is the wooden wharf deck at like down at Piermont, was my tailbone. It was the first thing that hit, and it felt like jolts of electricity going up my spine.
So you've hit like your ass funny bone.
Oh yeah, it was so bad. Man. And the whole place, everyone that was waiting for the boat saw it happen. And I didn't want to be that guy like, no, I'm really hurt. I wanted to roll with the punches, and I got up and I was like, yeah, stupid me. And they're like, the dudes that were carrying the thing, like, you're all right, man, that looked pretty bad. I'm like, yeah, I'm sweet. I was seriously having trouble walking, and I remember I walked around the corner and just took my composure. And it was like some of those deep breaths where you're just hoping those stabbing pains of like initial throbbing pain are just going to go away. I just remember I just like couldn't put any pressure on my ass the whole gig. Luckily, I was like doing live sound, so I had an excuse to stand up. But even standing up was like, I remember my legs were shaking from the pain. To this day, if I sit in a chair for too long, it flares up. That same injury flares up. So I've done, and I've never gone to the doctor properly about it.
If I could chip the tailbone or something.
I did. I did
one
with my knee. Like I was hanging out with, I was hanging at the Lansdowne when I used to book there, and Gary was the manager. I don't know if you ever met him, but he's a funny dude. And it was one of the first times that like I'd hung out there for staffies, like, and we'd they'd closed up at like 1 o'clock, and it was around Christmas, like around the 20th of December or something like that. And we were trashed, and he got up and sang a Ween song with an acoustic. And it was a cack, and he just said something, and it just cracked me up, and I was smashed. And I'm one of those bar stools, and I've just totally gone, oh, like that, and gone straight down on my knee onto the tiles in front of the bar. Like straight, I've just like, oh, right on my fucking knee. And still to this day,
Really?
I feel like there's a divot in there, and if I ever kneel on, like, my knee goes right on there on the edge of the carpet, so there's a little uneven sort of like it's just like
No way.
yeah, just like a lightsaber to the nerve.
That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
The only real reoccurring injury that I could say I have is sometimes it flares up is when I came off the bike once and I rolled my ankle pretty bad.
Like a push bike?
No, my motorcycle.
A motorbike, yeah.
I've had 2 close calls on the motorcycle.
How long you been riding for?
I was thinking about this the other day, and I reckon I would have been around about 22 or so when I got my motorcycle, and I'm 32 now. Okay. It's close to 10 years of riding a motorcycle. Like, holy shit, I wouldn't have thought. It goes around very quickly. It comes around very quickly. But yeah, and two accidents in 10 years of riding on Sydney roads. It's pretty good.
Could they have been avoided?
Yeah, it was mainly my fault.
Right.
Okay, I was going downhill. It was raining on both occasions, and on both occasions, I've used too much front brake. And I'm sure if you know on a bike, on a push bike, if you've got a front brake and a rear brake, and you use all front brake, your steering goes, your balance goes, all your weight's over that front wheel.
Yeah.
And if you try and turn it all, it just washes away. That's what happened the first time I was going downhill.
Jesus.
Didn't use any rear brake. I was going very, very slow. And it just slid out. I was going very, very, very slow.
Oh, that's all right.
But it shook me up a bit. It was when I first started riding. It was coming from Turra. And yeah, that was okay. The second time was when I did my ankle. I was living in Balgowlah, coming down to the French's Forest Bridge, Roseville Bridge.
Right, yeah.
And coming downhill, it was raining. I was going to a safety meeting, which is pretty ironic. I was working a game, and I had to go out. And coming downhill, and it was bad traffic. Car in front of me stopped pretty suddenly, and I again jumped on that front brake. And the last thing I can remember is seeing the tail light of my bike, like here, like to the side of the bike, and so it's like snapped, if you know what I mean. Like it's fish-tailed and then snapped. And I've gone straight over the top of the handlebars. Came down, and I think it came down on my ankle, and like that. Like,
gloves on.
Gloves on. I wear proper shit, proper jacket and stuff. Yeah. And I remember sliding along the wet road, and the bumper of the car in front of me, like right there, fucking right there. I was like, and I stopped, and I got up, and I was like, I'm fine, I'm okay. Just like you said, I'm fine. I picked up my bike, which was fucking heavy. I just picked it up and dragged it to the side of the road. And as soon as I got it to the side of the road and had like a little sense of safety, oh my fucking ankle.
It's weird.
So what, had you gone over on it or you'd hit on it?
I'd come down on it, like sideways type thing. Didn't break it. I just badly sprained it. And every now and then, if I just catch it in the wrong way I'm like, ooh, it hurts. But it's not bad at all. I didn't break anything. It's just bad bruising. But yeah, that's the only 2 times I've come off.
It's weird. It's like almost like a built-in thing into the human body. Even if you fuck yourself up beyond belief, like broken bones even, like there's, footage of it where you see people are somehow got a shot of adrenaline for enough time just to like maybe pick themselves up out of more danger and just get to the point where they're like, okay, I'm all right now. And then all of a sudden they're like,
no, I'm not.
I just walked on a broken leg, you know, and there's cases of that, you know, where people haven't realized that they've been
that's your instincts
dealing with major injuries just because they were dealing with fucking surviving, you know, and then they look down and they're like, fuck, you know, I'm way more fucked up than I am kind of thing. So I guess it's a good thing to have, especially, you know, coming off a fucking motorbike in the middle of a busy road, you know, just being able to have a shot to be able to pick yourself up and, you know, get to the side of the road and then go, oh, you know.
I had one when I was about 17, but I wasn't on a bike. I was North Sydney. You've just come off the bridge and you've turned up to go to North Sydney, and there's the Macca's on the right at the top of the hill, Mill Centre, you know, that intersection there. I'm crossing from the Macca's to go over to, is it Greenwood Plaza? Yeah, to cross across there, and on the... So if I'm coming from Macca's, there's the traffic going towards the bridge, and so I'll cross those three, and then I'm going across the ones from the outgoing, you know, traffic from the bridge, and the first two lanes are sitting at a red light. Okay, so I go across the first one, and as I go across the first one, I notice the light suddenly goes green, and I'm like, and I'm only a few cars down. I'm like, oh, fuck, I better go. So I go through the second lane, don't look to the left in the third lane, which is the left turn lane. And this car like collects me like pretty reasonably fast. And thank God it knocked my legs out from under me. And I rolled across, I rolled across the bonnet.
Fuck.
The woman that was driving thought it was my head. My elbow went crunched in the windscreen, like right in front of the passenger.
Fucking hell.
Right in front of the passenger. I flipped over and landed on the footpath.
Fucking hell, man.
And what I remember is I felt like I was in a washing machine for like about a second and a half.
Yeah.
Like I had no concept of what was happening. I had no concept. I did not see it coming. It wasn't like I went, oh fuck. It was like I was like, oh fuck, I better. What just happened?
Way.
The car stops. It's a little hatchback. This 5'2", 7-month pregnant Korean lady gets out of the driver's seat.
Why?
She's
why you all do that?
Freaking out, and I'm like,
oh man,
I feel all right. Like my elbow hurts a bit. And she was like, I thought it was your head, like cracked on the windscreen. And I was like, no, I think I hit my elbow. Like I just flipped it. It's like the most freakish thing. And I was like, I feel all right, like shaken up. And anyway, I was like, I think I swapped details or whatever, and I was like, no, I'm fine. She's like, don't you want to go to the hospital or anything like that? And I'm like, no, like, I really feel okay. I think my elbow's a bit sore, but I think I'm okay. Like, I'm not in, you know. And she goes, all right. I'm sure we swapped details, but anyway, so I've gone, okay, cool. I'm going to go home. So I was going back to French's Forest. Now, I'm so thinking that I'm totally fine that I call my girlfriend from the North Sydney train station to say, okay, I'm going to catch a train and a bus home, and I'll see you in like an hour, and I'll come and meet you like at this place that we were going in Belrose. Wasn't even going to go home.
Right.
I catch the train and I'm starting to feel a bit like, oh, like this. I get the bus from Chatswood to Belrose, and I get off the bus, and it's like I was covered in like slow drying concrete, because it was like while I was at the accident scene, I was like this, and then I got to Chatswood and I was a bit like this, and then I got off the bus and I'm like, everything is just ground to a halt, and my whole body just feels like I've been hit by a truck, like just jolted, you know, like all my muscles and everything is just gone into shock mode, and I'm just
as
like,
you cool down, it contracts, and then I just seized up, and I was just like, you know, when you get a back twinge or you get out, you know, and you're just like, that's insane.
It's like my whole body was like that.
Were you wearing a helmet?
I was walking on the street.
You were walking. Oh, sorry.
I was walking across the street. And I just walked and just got taken out. Yeah.
Holy shit, man! You're lucky to be alive.
No shit.
Holy shit!
As you say, you're lucky your legs kind of went out, because like,
if it had just caught me at the wrong angle and my legs, instead of going out, had gone like this, no, I fucking wouldn't be here.
And I remember one of your older acquaintances.
That's such a terrifying
hit by a car. That was pretty full on, man.
Yeah, I know somebody that essentially got hit by a car that was, on a freeway, and it rode off the car. And
rode off the car.
But this person was on foot.
Yeah, walking across a freeway, stupidly drunk, and got collected by, I think the report
freeway
was,
too, like the speeds that they're going on a freeway.
I think it would have been at least 80 k's an hour. And apparently the car didn't have time to really brake at all, so it was like a full tilt hit, and the ambulance people.
So I'm taking it this person didn't survive.
No, they did. They did.
What?
That's what the ambulance people were saying.
I
they were
distinctly remember the evening too.
They were saying it's a combination of things. It's actually probably a good thing that the car wasn't braking when it hit.
Why is that?
Some weird thing about the angle of the car and stuff, and like when it brakes, it's like the nose kind of like dips down, digs down, and just hitting it full tilt just manages to sometimes.
Maybe it's the same with me. Maybe it's
exactly
it's
like your scenario.
At the last second.
Just happens to get a really nice fluke rollover kind of effect, and the person in question got out of it with like a few scars on their leg. That was pretty much it. No broken bones. So like discharged from the hospital that night.
It's so lucky, man.
That's crazy.
That's insane. And the other thing that the ambulance staff were saying is probably being that drunk was part of it as well.
Relaxed body and
like
I
not
have to say,
actually
I was pretty
even seeing
I was pretty
coming.
relaxed.
Well, but as you say, it wasn't like oh shit, and like that oh shit, you can like tense your muscles up and prepare your body in a way that can actually fuck you up worse.
Totally.
And being hit in like a flaccid state of not expecting it, just like you just kind of like go with it. Might be
it's freaking me out just thinking about it now.
Scary to think about it. There was somebody not far up from here, just up near King's Cross, that got hit by a fucking
bus, I think,
a bus
wasn't it?
in the middle of William Street.
Oh man, that was the other day. I was coming home. Man, I don't know if I told you I was coming home. I'm pretty sure it was from the interview of the job I just got, and I came to go down William Street, and William Street was closed. Absolutely 100% closed.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh fuck, it was fully fucking hot. You remember a couple of weeks ago where it was fucking boiling hot?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm dying. I can't sit in fucking traffic for fucking, an hour or whatever. I got off and I'm like, I'll go and get a drink and just have a look at what all the kerfuffle is. So I went up and there was like one of those blue tents in the middle of William Street.
Yeah,
and all traffic in all directions was stopped. And I went up to one of the cops and I'm like, man, what's going on? And he's like, oh, yeah, somebody got hit. And I'm like, oh, man, it wasn't a motorcyclist, was it? And he's like, no, it was a pedestrian. And I had a quick look up the road and there was like not a big truck, but, like a food truck, like a medium truck.
Yeah.
And it was stopped in the middle of the intersection, like turned sideways. So I'm guessing,
that's what.
But they closed down that whole fucking street all day.
Man,
it must have been pretty full on. But
fucking. It's what. Sometimes I think I'm surprised that there's not more, and maybe there is more
going
than
to the
reported.
City on a weekday, and it's just like, man, you people are fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy.
The fucking main intersection just across from Town Hall. It's like. People risk
Town Hall,
yeah. The one that like
the four-way, Queen Victoria building.
People risk that all the time, and I've seen like full lockups and people are just like, I'm working here. Fucking ridiculous, man. Like, I'm surprised. That's yet another, vote for like, the Google cars and the autonomous driving vehicles, I guess.
But then you need autonomous fucking people walking. Totally. Some of them are just fucking idiots, man.
Google platform.
Well, then you just go the route of what, Sydney's Lord Mayor wants to do and like
get rid of all cars.
Yeah, just turn it all into pedestrian.
I used that route to get home when we lived in Roselands, and I used to turn right onto George Street to get through to fucking Parramatta Road, and then I'd go down to fucking Crystal past your place, go down that way. And it was integral for me to get through there. It'd be a fuck around if I had to go around that.
Isn't there some city? I'm sure I've heard of some city that does have a lockout zone where you can't drive in the CBD.
Really? I think it's London, isn't it? I think they do it in London. I think. I don't know.
Sure, I've heard of what. Like, there's one that actually exists. Yeah.
I guess something's got to be done. Like, just the sheer amount of cars, just like, I've complained about it before, but the amount of time that it takes me just to commute to work now is like geographically should be like 15, 20 minutes. Like it's not that far in terms of distance. But the time of morning and afternoon that I'm trying to travel on a bus on, it's like an hour and a half.
God damn.
You know, something that should take 20 minutes takes an hour and a half just from the sheer amount of congestion. And it's like, you know, there's along the route, there's at least 2 or 3 schools. So you're dealing with all of the school traffic but it's like, you know, just, you go to like some outdoor festival or something and just look at all the people there and then you just think most of these people have got a car. A lot of them probably got multiple cars per family, you know, like it's a shitload of people driving cars on what all seems to be infrastructure that's just not set up for that amount of people.
Like if they all scattered out through the day, it'd pretty much be okay, but they're all trying to get to the very similar places all at the same time. And that's what makes it fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't blame anybody for doing it. That's what everybody has to do that. But, you know, yeah. I don't know what the answer is. Fuck.
It's been this thing that they've been talking about for years is that we're going to have to break the traditional 9 to 5 and get people like more industry staggered starting times and stuff. So the peak hours, but like that's not really going to be a solution.
Who's going to miss out? You know, there's some industries that, you know, you want to be there at certain times or whatever.
Yeah.
Who's going to divvy out who gets to start at what times and
but I also reckon that a lot of the the workforce does work like, you know, outside, you know, not necessarily within 9 to 5 hours now.
Yeah.
So
don't you
reckon?
How do you get to work? What's your usual routine
I was riding my bike until it got bloody nicked.
Oh, really? Man, yeah. I remember seeing that. What happened?
Me and Sal, my girlfriend, just had our bikes out in the backyard, you know, at our place.
Yeah.
And they were under covers and stuff, and they just weren't locked to anything because we just hadn't got around. It's like a wood fence and it's a rental, and I just hadn't gotten around to, I don't know, drilling a hole through something that we can lock them up to something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody just came in and took them?
Yes, yeah, they just came. Because our house, see, the thing with us is our house is really secure. It's like you can't get into our house.
Yeah.
They're all like this thick metal bars.
Get into his house.
Well, it might, but the backyard. So maybe we fell into a false sense of security. You know,
yeah,
the seems backyard is like pretty accessible.
It would have to have been like, you know, it's not like a random walk by would have seen them. Like someone's probably stuck their head over the fence to be able to see them, and then they've, you know, taken them. Yeah,
that sucks though, man. People can be cunts.
You see it all the time, man. Like people that tie their bikes up in, you know, just next to a telegraph pole, and it's just like just the wheel that they tied up, and they've taken the rest of the bike. It's like fucking hell. Like I've been considering getting like a scooter or something to like alleviate this massive traffic that I'm dealing with every day. But it's like, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to tie that up when I go to the shops, like outside the shops? Like, you know, it's got like, you know, this bunch of batteries that you can take out of it just by like lifting up the footresting, like, you know, it'll just get like, you know, hammered. Like, you know, it's like, bikes are an alternative, but, you know, the cunt factor means you can't fucking leave them anywhere. So it's like...
Well, what about your area in general?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, so I live on the inner west line, but my work is at Mascot. So if we're talking about... so I drive around to all the gigs that I do, all the music therapy stuff. But as far as like just going to the call centre, which is like the one where I go to the same location every shift... that one I have been riding my bike a lot. Sometimes I drive my car.
Right. When you drive your car, how do you find the traffic in your area?
Well, my hours are just not 9 to 5 at all, so it's not really a problem for me generally. Coming back it can be. But the thing for where I live to where I work is that geographically it's a 25-minute ride. It's like really close. But to catch public transport, I have to catch a train all the way into Central and change trains and then catch the train all the way back to Mascot.
Yeah.
And
so which way would you go?
So that's why sometimes I would drive, you know. Like,
which way would you go if you drove, though?
So I just go along Stenmore Road.
Like through Newtown type thing?
Sort of past Newtown. Go through Enmore.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That area is fucked for traffic, man. Like
It's bad. It's bad. Yeah. It's kind of bad. But generally on the way there, I don't have to worry about it. Sometimes I'd finish and I'd be coming back at like 5.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that could be like quite a wait to get up to the Princess Highway.
I was going through that area quite consistently on the bike, and it was getting ridiculous. And that's a classic example of that whole area of that area around Crystal Street there, down Canterbury Road. You know, they're building all these. You know, people are making their houses and you know making these their hubs and their centres.
Yeah.
And it's like, old fucking roads that are servicing these places, and park cars everywhere in the middle of the fucking day, and it's like, it's just ridiculous. I don't know what the answer is. Like, buying up all these places would be very expensive to put in new stuff, but something has to be done. And after spending some time in that area, this area is probably worse. But I feel for people in that area because it's not going to get any better. Right. It's only going to get worse, and something has to be done.
Yeah.
And
I was reading a thing about some of the other cities in the world that have got like fucking like biblical proportion traffic chaos,
like Rome and all those.
Mexico, man.
Places.
Apparently, Mexico City is like, it's not uncommon to be stuck in a traffic jam for days. Like days. And there's this whole industry that's propped up of people vendors that come and serve food to all the people that are stuck in the traffic jam.
What? No way.
Could you imagine that? Like, it's just insane. And they showed some like footage in this article I was reading, and it's just like just down to the horizon, just stuck, and just people just turn off their cars, and it's like just waiting for some movement.
What are you waiting for fuck's sake? Like somebody's fallen asleep on the road. Like you're waiting for them to wake up or some shit. Like,
but you look at those photos of Mexico City. It is such an enormous. It is to some. Have you seen like those docos about like all the problems they have with the big massive sewage pipes and stuff? And
really,
just the infrastructure is just like can't cope with the city of just such gargantuan size. Like,
I've seen some of those photos where they show like those built up areas, and like some of the built up areas go right against the border. And like it's like these aerial shots. It's like just desolate, and then just this like massively built up like slum almost. Like it's crazy. Like, but the thing that I was saying in this article about the Mexican like traffic and the chaos and stuff is that, and I guess it kind of makes sense when you think about it. No one's really like got road rage, and everyone's super friendly because I guess it's just. How's it going to help, by going off your nut if you're not going to move for another 3 days anyway?
Days, can you imagine?
That's ridiculous.
How bad is it when you come out of like a big event at like an Acer Arena or something, it's just heavy, isn't it? Soundwave,
Some of them fucking sat in the car park for at least 2 hours, and we didn't even attempt it for like an hour and a half.
Just sat there.
Let's just sit in the car park for
Did you guys like leave? Did you leave before the last band finished as well?
No.
You waited till right at the end.
We were watching the last band. I remember.
I find I just can't.
Dickheads in the car next to us.
I rarely can. I mean, it would have to be someone that I really have to see to make me stay to the end of the headline band at one of those things.
It's fucking chaos. It's even worse, like public transporting out of those shits.
Yeah, that wait for the train platform is just brutal, isn't it?
Or some like packed like rail bus that's ferrying people to the train station, and it's just this like den of inequity, like fucking. Either that or everyone's just like,
what's that? What are you doing there?
They're all fucking drunk cunts everywhere.
Rowdy.
Like, Josh.
Or like everyone's like alcohol breath so bad that you can like cut the air with the knife, like inside the fucking bus. It's just
the bus
like
driver shit for doing. He's like, I just want to go home. And you're like, fucking come on.
And like just like 3 or 4 like chicks that are just like they checked out like 4 hours ago.
Just on autopilot, one left, right.
Oh man!
But I feel like I must be getting so like grumpy because I just had the experience the other day, like coming back from Turramurra on the train, and there was like 2 people. I was like on the downstairs area, and there was like 2 other people, and it was just one. I was sitting there just trying to read, and it was just this one dude, and it was like nothing that bad, but it was just he answered the phone. He's like, yeah, nah, and it just went on and on and on, and it was just, and I'm trying to concentrate on reading, but it's just like it's just that little bit like louder than it needs to be, that it's just like invading in my consciousness, and I can't ignore it. I even got to the point where I put my headphones on, but my battery was dead on my phone, so I couldn't put any music on to block it out. But I just put the headphones in because they're those noise cancelling ones that like maybe this will give me a bit of respite, you know, like so I can try and concentrate. But it's still like, and the worst thing about it was that the whole conversation was just going in circles, and it was like, no, I told you, mate, I told you, you know, like, no, look, that's what it's, no, I said it. I did. I said it. No, mate. I said it. Like, it's just like going on and on and on and on. It's just like, just feeling like such a codger.
Look, I agree. Like sometimes, like they've done trials with quiet carriages, you know, on Sydney trains,
still do them, don't they?
which I think is not a bad idea. But then when the quiet carriage is full, like, you know, what are you going to do?
What, there are ones that are marked as quiet carriages?
Yeah, they started doing it on the.
I saw it at Central Station on the seat on the platform though.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't understand what it was. Okay, that's what it is.
They started doing it with the like Blue Mountains trains because they're like, you know, heaps longer journeys. And I think they were getting sick of people that, you know, would be, doing a loud phone call or listening to loud headphones or whatever. And a lot of people would crash out for that journey. So they made like the front 2 carriages of the train silent carriages where it was considered, you know, it wasn't enforced by anything. It was just enforced by other passengers. But because it was like an official thing, like these are the silent carriages, it gave people that wanted to sort of, you know, mention something to somebody a bit more weight instead of just like, can you not do that? It's like, come on, dude, you're in one of the quiet carriages. Sure. You reckon you go down to one of the other carriages if you want to listen to your music or whatever. And apparently it worked really well on the Blue Mountains ones. But then they started to introduce it in just the normal Sydney metropolitan network. And I heard that there was a few, you know, issues, you know, because people, you know, were like, man, come on, man, I'm like catching two stations. You can't deal with like, you know, bit of music for like 2 stations. And there's a bit.
Fuck off, man. Like, you got the rest of the train. Go and play 2 songs in the rest of the train.
Yeah, I would never do that. I'd never fucking like.
I think it's such a douchebag.
It's not a fucking 80s breakdancing movie.
I'll never forget this one time I actually like said something to somebody about that, like, and it was weird. Like, I was on a train by myself, and then next station this chick gets on, and she's just like, you know, sits down and starts reading a book, and I'm being quiet. I think I might have even been listening to something on headphones myself, but like a quiet podcast or whatever. And then it's this classic douchebag gets on the next station, and he's already cranking his fucking shit music through his crap fucking speaker on his phone before he gets on. I can hear it before the doors even open. You know, like just distorting an inbuilt iPhone speaker beyond like sounding good with crap music to begin with, like some breakbeat crap. And he gets on, and he's like fully like, you know, feet on the seat and like, you know, listening to his thing. And I just remember I wasn't going to say anything, but this fucking lady that was across the way that I was like, you know, almost felt as bad for her as for myself because she's trying to read a book and she's just like looks at him and she's like, And he said to her, like, you know, or getting all huffy or something like that. Like,
he
just
said something. That's what he said. Yeah,
and that's when I picked up. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you fucking come on the train. And like, this dude immediately like wanted to fight me. I was like, what the fuck have I done? Like, I should not have said anything. But luckily, the next station, like, more people got on, and it was like kind of like, you know, just a backed off situation, you know. But it was like one of those.
Did you turn the music down, or did you keep?
No, but it didn't escalate into him, like, you know, wanting to have a go at me or anything.
But he kept the music on. And
of course.
Going, yeah, fucking.
You know, chewing his gum, his straight brimmed hat, you know. fucking.
We sound like such fucking codgers.
Nah.
I get pissed. See, the difference is I get pissed off about it, but I'm just like, there's this part of me that just feels like, fuck, it's just young kids fucking playing music, and I'm just getting old, and I should just fucking get over it.
It's not all of them, but there are pricks in every generation.
No, I know, but cutbags. I don't know. I know what you're saying. Look, I find it annoying. I know a lot of people do, but I'm kind of like, it's not really hurting anyone, and they're just rebelling and fucking whatever.
Isn't it? Doesn't it come down to common courtesy though, and having a bit of empathy?
Yeah, but didn't we all do heaps of shit when we were young? That was like obnoxious and fucking.
Here's the equivalent. Here's the equivalent. Let's imagine that back in the late 80s, early 90s, whenever Discmans first came out, and remember you could buy from Tandy and shit. There were the first set of speakers that would plug into a headphone jack, and they would be powered by just the headphone amp.
Yeah.
Could you imagine buying that rig and getting onto a bus and cranking Appetite for Destruction as loud as that little shit fucking system would go, and making everybody else around you just deal with it? It's such a fucking shitty cunt act. And as we talk about more people fucking with more cars on the road, society's just the problems are just going to get worse and worse. That kind of behavior surely needs to fucking be reined back a bit, or else it's just going to turn into fucking more people confronting each other and if
it was a constant thing, it would drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's not a constant thing. It's just a thing you need to deal with now.
But I know what you mean, because it's there is the danger if it's just let slide, that it would just seep in and just become this constant thing that everywhere you go, everyone is listening to music out loud. And, oh man, that'd be intense.
And then there's that thought process of is my generation that's now gotten to the age that it is, trying to be so cool with the kids that we're not telling them when they are being douchebags for fear of being the old codger, and they're getting away. Is truly the thing that stops somebody doing that, somebody pulling them up on their shit and going, come on, man, that's fucking ridiculous. What are you fucking doing? But we don't want to fucking be that dude that's going to say that to them.
Having said that, I busted a kid fucking yesterday in the toilets at a fucking servo for not washing his hands. He fucking comes out, he goes for a piss in the stall, because he's and I'm like, fair enough. He said, it's like to be a young fucking dude. It's all a bit fucking, full on, you're not sure of yourself and all that shit. And he doesn't take some piss. And then he comes out, and I come back from washing my hands, and I go to the door, and we both reach the door at the same time. And I can see he's just come clearly straight from the store. And he's 11. And I'm like, did you wash your hands? And he's like, runs out the door. and then he runs out the door, and I see him about 2 minutes later as Sel and I get into the car with Bub and whatever, and I see him walk past with his two sisters and his mum, and I'm so just running through my mind, just walking up to the mum going, listen, I'm only telling you this because I think you would want to know. You'd never do it. That would be so fucking evil, There's this part of it, it's just he should fucking know, he's just fucking walking around fucking with a loaded gun. Piss hands.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also your story with the person being loud on the phone. I'll give a wide berth for somebody that wants to talk on the phone, but only to a certain point. If it is a fucking. I hate hearing a conversation that doesn't seem like it's so pertinent. That the use of mobile phone technology needs to be implemented to get your message across right now. It's so you gonna meet me there? Yeah, it's just this mindless. People are bored on the train and they don't want to play Candy Crush, so they just kill the time.
Just hang out with me while I sit on the train.
I don't want to listen to that shit. Shut up. But at the same time, I've been pulled up. I'll never forget. I was on a train once, and I got a fucking phone call from Mum, and it was I remember it was I didn't want to have to fucking deal with doing the big fill in mum of what's been going on when I got home. So I'm I'm going to be on a long train ride. I'll do it on the train. So I'm having a pretty, personal conversation on the phone on the train. Now I try not to be too loud, but when I'm the kind of person that if I deliberately talk softly on the phone, people always what's wrong, man? You sound really tired. Have you got the flu?
Oh, really?
Unless I give it full decibels of what I'm capable on the phone, people always pull me up on being grumpy or, are you sure you're all right, man? Or did I wake you up? Did I just wake you up? I'm no, I'm on a train and I want to fucking talk out. So I can't fucking talk properly on the phone.
That is bizarre.
And I'm talking to him. I'm like, things are really good.
So
you
your
know,
soft voice is
the new
really
job's
grumpy.
going really well, and I'm being loud on the train. But it's like, come on, like, and I just feel this fucking lady prod me in the ribs through the fucking chair. Just jabs me. I'm mid conversation, and I just go, "Can you just hang on a second?" I just turn around, and she's like, "No one wants to hear about your life story." And it just jarred me. I'm like, I don't even think I came back with anything. I was just like, whatever. I went back on the phone and it just fucking fucked with me. I was like, couldn't finish my conversation properly because I just was like, wanted to tell this lady to fuck off. And yeah, it's like, so at the same time, I'm like, I've been that dude that's had a loud fucking shitty conversation that's made other people listen to it. But as I said, I'm really wary of it when I am. And I'll tell people when they call me on the train, and it's somebody that I want to talk to. It's like, yeah, man, look, I'm on a train. I'll call you back in like 15. And like most people are cool with that. But there are some people that treat the fucking train or the public transport that they're on like it's their own personal space. And I'll have that loud conversation. I'll put up my fucking feet. I'll eat my fucking stinky food. I'll fucking, you know, that all of the problems that I've got with fucking public transport. And it's like, yeah, it's just that, where's that bone? Don't you have that bone that it seems that we have that fucking twinges whenever you start to do that, going like, oh, I feel uncomfortable fucking making people fucking go through this.
Yeah.
You know? And some people just don't have it.
They don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck.
They just don't give a fuck. Some people, not all people, but yeah. It
Do you
seems
think
to be more than what they used to be.
Nah.
They're taking over.
No.
Cats everywhere.
Cats everywhere.
Well,
Starting my party, no more cunts.
direct voting. Direct action. So, how long have we been going on? So, should we call it?
Yeah. I think it's been a bit.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode. Congratulations to us for 10 episodes, and thank you for everyone that's tuned in for the last 10.
Guys, awesome.
As always, we've got the audio versions available on iTunes and Stitcher. Check out the links below the video for getting all of those. And we'll be back probably in the new year. 2015 will be another fresh year for the Barnsey podcast. So everyone, don't get too fucked up over the break, and eat lots of food and hang out with the loved ones, and we'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas.